Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Crimson, coming at you with another storytime video today. Today I'm going to be telling you a scary story. We are in the month of October. It is spooky month, and I have a super scary story to tell. This is kind of a long story, so I'm going to try to tell it quick. Two disclaimers before we get started in the video. The first one is, I'm going to keep my sunglasses on for the video. I am sick, unfortunately. I have a horrible chest cold, or head cold, whatever. So I'm gonna keep these on. I have myself some tea here, so I'll be sipping on that through the video. And then second disclaimer, guys, if you are super into the paranormal, you don't believe in spirits, ghosts, that's totally fine with me. Everybody has their own beliefs, their own experiences. Our experiences is what mold and shape us, and it essentially, I think, is a good grounding point for all of our beliefs. So if you don't believe in anything like that, it is totally fine by me. Just take my story for a grain of salt then, and just enjoy the story for what it is. So let's just hop right into the story. This story takes back a couple years, around March is the time period. So this story starts out with me living in an apartment with my mom. My mom had gotten a boyfriend at the time, and she was like living on and off at the apartment. I also had a boyfriend at the time, and he's kind of a big part of the story, so we are just going to name him Jimmy for the sake of this story. Let's see, so Jimmy was going to move into the apartment with me, but this story takes place just before we get this process started. So he was spending the night on and off with me here and there, and for the most part I relatively lived alone, and my mom would stop in on her lunch breaks after work to eat and check out the house and grab stuff if she needed to. The story starts initially with one time Jimmy comes over to spend the night with me, and he brings over a backpack full of items. Some items that are weird and kind of interesting. Something to note is that Jimmy was very much into paranormal stuff, and often dabbled in that kind of realm, let's say. So one of the items he had in a backpack he brought over was like a rock. I think it might have been like a jade rock or some sort of crystal at the time. He had like a little wooden box with like earrings in it, and he said that there was like something attached to that or whatever. Like, he just had some really weird stuff, and I honestly don't really know why he had brought these things over to my apartment at the time, but oh well. So in the night that he spends the night, this rock allegedly gets lost in the apartment. Nobody thinks a thing of it, but weird stuff does start to happen. I start having nightmares. I start feeling really uncomfortable by myself. I had never felt like this in the apartment before. And I kind of start, tuning in Jimmy to these things. I'm like, yeah, this is really weird. I'm starting to feel really weird things. I feel like I'm being watched. And then he tells me something is attached, allegedly, to this rock that has been lost in my apartment that nobody can seem to find, which is already super weird to begin with. So, great, right? The story intensifies. The story kind of gets real interesting one night where I am on the phone with one of my friends. Let's just name this friend Carl. We're sticking with Jimmy Neutron theme names here today. Jimmy and Carl. Okay, so we have Carl. He's my friend. We're talking on the phone. Now, some weird stuff had already been going on in the house. Like I said, I was already feeling uncomfortable, and I had felt like I was being watched, blah, blah, blah. We're on the phone. I'm eating cereal. I'm standing and eating cereal. I'm not sitting at a counter. I have my friend on speakerphone, and we're talking about, like, video games. Nothing important, nothing special, nothing spooky. What happens next, I was extremely unprepared for. So what I initially feel next is like a rush of energy up behind me, and I feel a right hand, and I knew it was the right hand because of the placement of the thumb, but I felt a right hand come down on my left shoulder and practically turn me around, and I yelled. My friend on the phone thinks a spider has just landed on me. I'm like, what the crap? You know, I'm screaming. I look around. Nothing's there. I'm freaked out. The only way I can really describe this feeling, if anybody has ever seen The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger as the Joker, if you guys know the scene where he's like recording the fake Batman, you know, oh Brian, you know, and he's like, he's intimidating him, and he walks up to him and he says, you know, come on Brian, look at me, and then he yells at him, he's like, look at me, really, really like intimidating and powerful. And that's what I felt when this thing like runs up behind me, grabs me, and turns me around. And I feel like this intimidating like power, this anger, or I don't even know if anger is a good word, but just that's just the best way I can describe that it made me feel, was like what the Joker says in that movie, and it was extremely intimidating. I freak out. My friend's on the phone with me. I tell him what happens. He comes over and hangs out with me. Keep in mind we're in an apartment, so I go sit outside, which is only a couple feet from the front door, most of the rest of the night, as the energy just kind of lingers away, but it never really did. When my friend came over to visit me, he walked straight into the house and he's like, there are 3 people standing in this room right now. So a couple days later, side story, kind of, my mom had a decorative cross that she had got from like Ross. It looked very Celtic looking, kind of irony looking, and we all know what a cross looks like, you know, myrrh, had the little arms here. And the way it was placed for her decorations was she had it on the ground, kind of leaning on one tilt, and it was next to a decorative vase. And, you know, it was supposed to be aesthetically pleasing. This is my mom's decorations and stuff. So, excuse me. So I notice this cross is in the wrong place. It's in the vase this time. It's not next to it, it's on the vase. And I really didn't think of anything of it. My boyfriend Jimmy at the time was kind of a prankster, so I allegedly believed that he did that. And turns out that was actually true. He was a prankster, and he put my mom's crap in the vase. Now, my mom came home every day for lunch, and she noticed this one day. She's like, what the crap? Why is my cross in the vase? You know, I just kind of gave the, I don't know, answer. And, you know, I kind of had my, you know, I thought it was him, but I really didn't know why he would do that. He had never done that in my house before, or any of the other times he had spent the night or anything like that. So, my mom fusses at me to fuss at him to not do that shit again. A couple days later, I actually find the cross in the vase. I take it out. I'm like, well, what the hell, okay? I really didn't think anything of it. I think he just did it to just kind of be a jokester and like maybe piss my mom off. A couple days passed. Unfortunately, the cross is in the vase again, but it's upside down. Really, really weird. My mom finds it this time. She's like, you tell Jimmy, right? You tell Jimmy to stop messing with my home decor. This is my shit. It's none of his shit. He doesn't need to be messing with it. So after that, I'm like, this is really stupid and it's gone a little bit too long for this prank. So I tell him, I'm like, dude, you need to stop this. My mom's pissed. Stop, please. He promises me he's not going to do it again. So let's fast forward. My same friend Carl that I had spoke about when he was on the phone with me, I invite him over one night. And he has another friend with him to stick with the Jimmy Neutron themed names. We're just going to go with Sheen. So, I'm sitting on the couch in the living room, and I'm texting my friends. They're coming over. I can see the front door. The front door is, like, directly in front of me from the couch. So I'm sitting there, and they text me that they're here, and my lazy ass is already on the couch, and the door's unlocked, so I send them a text. I say, hey, door's open, come in. My friends enter the house, and then we go into the back to my bedroom, and we watch some YouTube videos there. We hang out, we talk for a little while. It was a kind of a short friend meeting. They weren't there super long, maybe 2 hours. So we go to leave, or they go to leave, and I go to walk them out. The way the living room and the kitchen's kind of set up, like if, you know, roughly the camera was the front door, the living room and the kitchen was kind of like a circle, and then the hallway in the back of the apartment was where the bedrooms, bathrooms, and the master, like, bedroom and bathroom was. So the entire, like, back of the house is like bedrooms and bathrooms. So instead of walking through the living room this time, when they go to exit, we walk through the kitchen to the front door, and then Sheen goes to put his hand on the doorknob, and as soon as he does, he stops. He doesn't open the door. And I look at him, and I noticed a change in his face, and I was like, what did you just feel? Because I felt the same thing. And, I wanted him to tell me, because, people, sometimes they can be like, like, oh, did you feel that too? Oh my God, same. Like, if you say it first. So I wanted him to confirm the feelings that I was already feeling. And he looks at me, and he's like, there are 4 people standing in this living room right now. And like, it seems to be freaking the same shit everybody else is saying. So I'm like frozen at this point, because I can't believe he just said that. Keep in mind, this person had no clue what was going on in my house at the time, and my friend Carl knew, but was in my sight the entire time. So, why is everybody feeling this way? So we kind of scale the living room, and to my shock, the cross that had been moved, was sitting upside down on the couch, in the spot I was sitting in, no doubt. Like, if I was already sitting on the couch when my friends came in, there's no way, like, I would have not noticed something being there, which it definitely wasn't there before. And then to give you an idea, the size of this cross was like about the size of my torso. It definitely wasn't like a small personal decoration, I guess. But, my heart sank into my stomach. I've never, in any of my paranormal experiences or anything I've ever experienced, I've never had objects move. Like, I've never had, like, this teacup sitting on a table and then moves to another table. I've never experienced anything like that. So, with both my friends being in sight at the time, and definitely knowing that that wasn't sitting there before, because this thing was huge. There's no way you could have, like, not known if you were leaning up against it, and the object was big enough to where it's not like, this remote falls off the bed, or, my teacup, it was a fairly large item. So, yeah, it was freaking scary. Between it touching me and just the cross moving, like, I felt sick to my stomach. My friend actually had to put it back for me. I would not touch it. And then whenever I officially parted ways with my mom, we moved out of that apartment completely, but separate. We gave that cross away. I was like, nope. Something already fucked with this. I don't want it. So that's my scary story. Unfortunately, it ends really boring. The conclusion of everything is that when my boyfriend moved in at the time, all paranormal activity actually stopped, which is a little weird and a little freaky. And even after that, again, this was years ago, so nothing ever followed me or gave me another hard time after that. But I've never really had anything like that happen. I've had weird things and weird experiences, but I've never, the touching was one thing, but the cross sit moving is another. And as far as it being upside down, like, I get that that's could be super, super bad depending on what your beliefs are. Personally, I didn't take it as like the devil's in my house or something. I didn't really look at it that way, but I will say, as far as like being upside down, it is kind of an intimidating factor when it comes to paranormal things. So yeah, it was scary, but like I said, story ends super boring, boyfriend moves in, all paranormal activity just stops. So, but yeah, that's my scary story time for you guys. If you want me to tell another story, or if you have any story ideas, leave it in the comments below. Or if you have a paranormal experience that you want to share with me, let me know for sure. Have a happy October, happy Halloween, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.